Good evening and welcome to Dubuque County Right to Life's 28th Annual Life Dinner.
Dubuque County Right to Life does so much. They advocate, they educate, and they help us to see the beautiful culture of life, the blessings of life within us and within the people surrounding us.
Another thing we do to educate the youth is our annual scholarship, essay, and speech contest. I thought our contestants did amazing. Our judges also must have thought the same thing, as they awarded two $2,000 scholarships, one $1,800 scholarship, and one $1,500 scholarship.
God made us for a reason, and He looks at us each and every day and says, what are you gonna do with the gift of life I've given you?
Please join me in welcoming our 28th Annual Life Dinner speaker, Dr. Anthony Levatino.
The story I'm about to tell you is not an easy one to listen to, and I promise you it's not an easy one to tell. But I also promise you that everything I'm telling you is firsthand and true. Please understand there is no condemnation from me. I'm the last person in this room who should condemn anyone. A lot of people identify themselves as pro-life or pro-choice. For a lot of people, it doesn't really affect their lives directly. It doesn't even affect how they vote. But when you're an obstetrician gynecologist and you say you're pro-choice, this isn't some vague political position. You have to decide whether you're going to actually learn to do those procedures. So in my training, right along with learning to do deliveries, hysterectomies, and all the stuff that obstetrician gynecologists do, I learned to do abortions. We got married after about a year, and like many young couples, wanted to set off and have a family of our own, and found out very quickly that we had an infertility problem. She was just not getting pregnant. Here she is married to an obstetrician, and she can't get pregnant herself. 2, here she is trying to get pregnant, and her husband's killing babies doing abortions. After we got over that shock, we decided, okay, if this is the way it is, we'll adopt a child. We'd be perfectly happy to take a baby and adopt and bring in and raise as our own child. During the day, I'm doing abortions. I said, when it was my turn to do them, I'd do 3, 4, 5 in the morning, never thought anything of it. But at night when I go home, I'm trying to find one more phone number to call to see if there's a baby that we can find to adopt. Literally, I remember a specific abortion, looking down at those body parts and thinking, gosh, I'm just throwing these kids in the garbage. Wouldn't even one of these women allow us to take her child home and care for her as our own? But of course, it doesn't usually work that way. And literally, by the grace of God, we were able to adopt a little girl that we named Heather in August of 1978. Fantastic. We finally have a baby. And after all the years, and after all the tears, and after all the doubts, we finally had a baby, and my wife got pregnant the very next month. And our son Sean was born in July 1979. And any doubts I had about doing abortions simply evaporated, and I went back to business as usual. Now understand something, we were not running an abortion clinic. This is a routine OB/GYN office like most women in this room have been to. We did everything. We did deliveries, we did hysterectomies, but abortion was a part of our practice. Over the next 4 years, I did 1,200 abortions. But hey, life's good. Kids are grown, finally making some money. We could afford a home, we could afford some furniture, and life was just grand until June 23rd, 1984. And that evening, the kids were playing in the backyard when we had friends come over for cake and coffee. We were talking with our friends, and at 7:25 that night, we heard the screech of brakes out in front of the house. The kids had gone on the road. Heather had been hit by a car. She was a mess. We ran out and did everything we could. I'm a doctor. I'm supposed to be able to save people's lives. My wife is an intensive care nurse. This was our work. But it made absolutely no difference, and she literally died in our arms in the back of an ambulance that night. If you have kids, you may think you have some idea of what that would feel like. If you haven't been through this yourself, you haven't got a clue. I hope you never find out. And I don't remember how long it was after Heather's death, But I showed up at OR number 9 at Albany Medical Center just like I had over 100 times before for a second trimester D&E abortion. I wasn't thinking of this as anything special. It was routine. Besides, I had other things on my mind. For the first time in my career, after all those abortions and all those years, I looked. I really looked at that pile of body parts on the side of the table. And I didn't see her wonderful right to choose. And I didn't see what a great doctor I was helping her with her problem. And I didn't even see the $2,000 cash I just made in 15 minutes. All I could see was somebody's son or daughter. And it occurred to me in that moment that this patient had come to me, figuratively, never literally, and said, here's $2,000, kill my son or daughter. And I was the kind of person that would look her straight in the eye with no compunction at all, say, sure, I'll do that. I know you look up to physicians. You think we're all so smart. We're no different than you are. When you finally figure out, here, not here, that killing a baby this big for money is wrong, it doesn't take you too long to figure out it doesn't matter whether the baby is this big or even this big. It's all the same. Stop doing abortions. Now you know why I quit. Get involved in the pro-life movement? Not a chance. You see, everyone in the abortion industry knows that everyone in the pro-life movement is a kook. Maybe 8 or 9 months after I stopped doing abortions, my wife came to me and told me that we'd been invited to a pro-life potluck dinner by somebody at our church. And I laughed. You know, it was a Friday night, as a matter of fact, coincidentally. And I had an easy out. We had another engagement to go to. But I said, why would I want to go to some pro-life dinner with a bunch of kooks? I said that literally. Pro-life potluck dinner was on the road to where we were going. We had to pass it to get where we were going. So when we were driving, I looked at her and I said, you know what, just for giggles, let's stop at the pro-life potluck dinner. We'll stay 10 minutes and we'll get out of there. And that night, the ex-abortionist and his wife walked into this pro-life potluck dinner, and it looked like a scene in a bad movie. Everybody looked up, the place went dead quiet. I had no idea these people knew who I was, but they did. And some of them didn't know that I wasn't doing abortions. I didn't take on an ad, I just quit. Well, we ended up spending an hour and a half at the pro-life potluck dinner. Guess what? These people weren't kooks. They understood the medicine, they understood the law. They were giving of their time and talent voluntarily and sacrificially to stop what they saw as one of the worst human rights abuses of our time. And we were really impressed by this, and we joined that group called Citizens Concerned for Human Life in Albany, New York. How many people in this room, and I mean this sincerely, believe they can do anything with God behind them? I'm going to challenge you to act that way. So if Roe v. Wade gets overturned this summer, abortion's over, right? No, you're way too sophisticated to understand that. All that does is turn it back to the states. It's the Right to Life organizations, and it's the pregnancy assistance centers across this country that have been and will remain the backbone and the strength of the pro-life movement. You realize there are more crisis pregnancy centers in this country than abortion clinics? If abortion is so necessary, if abortion is so essential, why do over 85% of obstetrician gynecologists refuse to do them? It's organizations like Dubuque County Right to Life that's in the forefront. They are the ones out there educating our politicians, going into schools, going into colleges. They're the ones supporting patients in your communities, like Kelly, who need their assistance, but they can't do any of this without you. Fight this, because it's the right thing to do. We can beat this thing. God bless you all, and thank you for your attention.